ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನಾನು ಶ್ರೀಮತಿ ಕಲಾವತಿ ಕಾಮತ್ತ, ಸರ್ಕಾರಿ ಮಹಿಳಾ ಪಾಲಿಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ ಮಂಗಳೂರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರಂಥಾಲಯ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ವಿಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಶ್ರೇಣಿ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಕಿಯಾಗಿ ಕಾರ್ಯನಿರ್ವಹಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಾನು ಈಗ ಈ ವಿಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಪ್ಲೊಮಾ ಇನ್ ಲೈಬ್ರರಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಈ ಕೋರ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಫೌಂಡೇಶನ್ ಆಫ್ ಲೈಬ್ರರೀಸ್ ಅನ್ನುವ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಸ್ಟರಿ ಆಫ್ ಲೈಬ್ರರೀಸ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಈ ಒಂದು ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂತಹ ಲೈಬ್ರರೀಸ್ ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ಮೊಘಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಂ ಎರಾ ಈ ಒಂದು ಸೆಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಮೊದಲನೇದಾಗಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್. Libraries have always had a pivotal role in the storage, processing, and dissemination of information. Some may serve general needs, but special libraries serve the needs of a particular community of users. Among special libraries, Oriental libraries hold an important place because they preserve the cultural heritage of a nation or a civilization. When the Muslim established their rule in India at the beginning of the 13th century, Muslim emperors paid special attention to libraries, taking care to establish libraries in educational institutions. They constructed no separate library buildings, rather books were deposited and preserved in educational institutions, mosques and khangas. Many Muslim rulers were from the east and they helped enrich libraries with the Oriental literature. Paper began be used as a writing material in the 20th century, and this helped book production in this period. Mughal sovereigns and their courtiers were educated and accomplished, and some maintained personal libraries. The Muslim sovereigns collected and preserved the Vedas, the Ramayana, and other Hindu religious books. They also translated a variety of books in Hindi into Persian and Arabic and helped disseminate Hindu art and culture. Even in the Muslim era, library art did not die altogether. For most of the rulers belonging to both Khilji and Tughlaq dynasties in the 13th and 14th centuries, who were great patrons of art learning, built up personal libraries in their palaces or in the mosques. It is said that the great Muslim scholar Amir Kausar, who was also a great poet and a musician, was himself a librarian. It is further said that Balban's eldest son, Prince Muhammad, had a library of considerable collections. Even the rulers of Bijapur, Golconda, Gujarat, and Khandesh possessed libraries in their respective palaces. But most of those libraries were private collections, and as a result, none but the courtiers and scholars had access to them. It was Shaikh Uddin Aulia who, for the first time in India, established a public library containing a large mass of manuscripts to which everyone had free access. Most of the books at that time were either written on palm leaves or on a parchment because paper was at once rare and expensive. Moreover, as book production was a laborious process, books were both rare and costly, and hence the scholars and learners had to seek access to the private collections of the princes and the nobles. After the establishment of sultans of Delhi in 1202, a new period in the history of Oriental libraries came into existence. These minor Muslim rulers and nobles encouraged Islamic learning and established maktabs, means primary schools, then madrasas, schools of higher learning, libraries, and mosques. They encouraged Arabic and Persian literatures in all branches of learning and enriched Oriental literature in the libraries. They gave shelter and protection to scholars who brought literature from other parts of the growth and development of Oriental libraries in India. Sumir Gul, Samina Khan, Library Philosophy and Practice 2008, April 3, World to India. The Library of Khwaja Nizam Uddin Aulia was an important Oriental library. He was the property of the Waqf religious board and was open to every man of letters. During the reign of the Khilji dynasty, the number of Oriental libraries increased. Jalaluddin Din Jalaluddin Khilji established the Imperial Library at Delhi and appointed Amir Kausar as its librarian. The Tughlaq dynasty opened a new chapter in the history of Oriental libraries in India. Muhammad Tughlaq built 1,000 madrasas, each with a library with the collections in Arabic and Persian. Humayun ascended the throne in 1530 and a library known as Khan-e-Tilsim. Humayun's library played a significant role in Mughal history. Akbar, the greatest of Mughal emperors, maintained a very rich library. He added a sizable number of books obtained from his conquest from libraries in Gujarat, Jaunpur, Kashmir, Bihar, Bengal, and the Deccan. His library was unique in its collection of rare books, among which was the Persian Diwan of Human Shah. By the time of Akbar's grandson, Shah Jahan, the library was a complex organization with a large staff and headed by Nazim, a noble of the court. In Kashmir, a picture of the first library is found in the shrine of Hazrat Bulbul Shah, which was established by Muslims. A magnificent monastery and a mosque were constructed by the Emperor of Kashmir, Sultan Sadruddin, for Hazrat Bulbul Shah. A library was attached to this mosque. Amir Kabir Sayyid Hamdani, a theologian and a scholar, had a well-established personal library that contained Oriental literature. He established a number of libraries in Kashmir, which added to the wealth of the Indian Oriental libraries. The sultans of Kashmir had given funds to establish madrasas and libraries. Each madrasa had a library. Sultan J. ul Abidin ul Maruf Beg, who was famously known as Badshah, the great emperor, constructed a library which historians tell was one of the best in the world. Among the other libraries built by Badshah, Darul ul Ulmoon Naushir was the best. Another library by the name of Madrasa Aisher was built by Badshah near modern Islamabad. During the Chak Sultanate, many libraries thrived and brought Oriental literature to the limelight. Akbar conquered Kashmir in 1587 and established many madrasas and libraries there. In Gujarat and Malwa, a number of libraries were introduced by Ahmad Shah I and Dilwar Khan. Shah Jahan, 1658 to 1667, like his predecessors, patronized learning and education and built a library with a rich collection of Arabic and Persian manuscripts. Dara Sikho, Aurangzeb, and Bahadur Shah Zafar also contributed to the development of Oriental libraries. Mughal rule was a period of literary excellence. Most of the emperors were themselves scholars and also extended their patronage to scholarship and learning. Jahir Uddin Muhammad Babur, the first emperor of the Mughal Empire and founder of the Mughal dynasty, was a bibliophile too. He started the library tradition in Mughal India. He established the imperial library and his personal library at his fort. His library had a rare collection of manuscripts which he got from his forefathers. Farghana, now Uzbekistan, his motherland, was a place of great scholars and intellectuals. Cities like Tashkent, Bukhara, and Samarkand were a knowledge hub that bred many great learned men. Babar himself was an expert in calligraphy. Of all the precious things, he took over the collection of books of Ghazi Khan after his defeat in Lahore in 1525. He mentioned his in his collection. He mentioned this in his collection of memories after spending 2 nights on the rise. I inspected the fort. I went into Ghazi Khan book room. Some of the precious things found in it I gave to Humayun. Some I sent to Kamran in Kandahar. There were many books of learned contents, but not so many valuable ones as had at first appeared. His memories also refer to the name of the librarian, Khwaja Muhammad Ali. Subsequently, his library was supported and enlarged by his successors. He charged the Public Works Department or Surat-e-Am to build maktabs, means schools, and madrasas, schools for higher learning. Each of them was equipped with the books and the library. In 1665, along with the throne, Aurangzeb took hold of the imperial library. A staunch Muslim, intellectual man, and wise king, he was fond of reading and studying Islamic law. His keen interest in Islamic theology led him to collect books such as commentaries and explanations of Quran and Hadith, which apparently augmented the imperial library collection. During his period, the library had a librarian or a Nizam named Muhammad Shah. Princess Jahanra, daughter of Emperor Shah Jahan and sister of Aurangzeb, personal library was one among the best in those days. As a poet, adherent follower of Safin's, Safin's writer and a patron of art, the Princess Jahanra collection of books reflected great diversity. Zeb-un-Nisa, the emperor's daughter, was a well-cultured and ethical lady. She was a poet too and had a huge personal collection for the use of scholars. The death of Aurangzeb in 1707 led to the disintegration of the Mughal Empire and subsequently the decline of the imperial library. Among the successors of Aurangzeb, Bahadur Shah Zafar established some colleges and encouraged the scholars and intellectuals of the society. Shah Alam II, emperor of the crumbling Mughal Empire, started to collect books and restore imperial library, though could retain the standard which the library earlier had. Despite many political upheavals, the growth of collections of books and manuscripts in institutions like maktabs and mosques and by renowned individual continued to foster those slowly. Manuscripts and rare artworks were looted and carried away by the conquerors. But still in India, some libraries like Rampur Raja Library, Khuda Baksh Library, and the Salarzang Museum Library still possess considerable rare manuscripts of the Mughal period. The manuscript of the Quran, parts of which are believed to have been inscribed by Aurangzeb. It is of a size 14.5 centimeter into 24 centimeter, having heavish golden insects and consisting of sheets of paper handcrafted from rice and natural materials. The script is written in ink made from valuable minerals and it is inlaid with ruby, lapis, lazuli, gold, silver, and garnet. This is a picture of the Shir Mandala in Old Fort, Delhi, that was converted in a library by Humayun. Thank you.